This is Maestro with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today we have a 2v2 on Medean Cliff Mines. Our first player is Django, playing as the Lord Commissar, slightly tanky melee hero who arguably is kind of like a melee tank support hybrid. His teammate is Jamona, playing as yet another Commissar Lord. And their opponents is going to be a full-on Space Marine team against Imperial Guard. We've got Overtly Gemerous. Actually, I would have liked Generous better. Playing as the Space Marine Apothecary, healing commander who can support units with on-the-field sustain. And his opponent, or no, rather his teammate, is going to be another Space Marine player, this one playing as the Techmarine, vehicle support hero with a gun for every occasion. Alright then, so we got a long 2v2 ahead of us. I know I just did 2v2 on Medean Cliff Mines, and we got another one here, but this one's a faction battle, Imperial Guard versus Space Marines, and it's a long one ahead of us, so I think it'll be a banger of a game. I hope so. It better be. Natural victory point has been capped for the red team by these scouts. They're gonna take cover, but even this cover is not enough to save them from the entire army of Jamona with 2 guardsman squads. Yeah, and they just move up so that they can take cover themselves in the same cover that the scouts were using. And they're actually going to just harass so hard. This is such an aggressive play from Jamona. It's going to be really hard for me to tell these 2 Imperial Guard players apart. Even this defense by the Tactical Marines is a little bit questionable. My god, even deciding to use the constructible cover. I forget that thing often even exists. I don't even think he's got this squad all the way behind it. But this is still such an aggressive play. I love it already. I feel like he wants to start targeting the node, though, because he can finish the node with these 4 units. Instead, he's deciding to chase off the tac squad, hoping for a mono loss maybe. Now he's going to finish off the node, and he will get it. He might even be so bold, but hopefully not so foolish, to go for a decap on the power node. No, because the power node, it's renoded immediately, but he's just going to back off. Unfortunately, the Space Marines from Scummy are approaching. They don't have any cover, but it looks like Jamona decides to back off because we do see the assistance come from Scummy. Actually, this was all Scummy. No, it wasn't. This was actually the assistance coming from Overtly Gemerous. I still wish his name was Overtly Generous. I think that would be a much cooler name. Sorry. Apothecary now in here all by himself. This is just going to be a retreat at some point. Heal, honestly, is wasted. He should not stay here any longer unless it is his intention to give Scummy some experience by way of a revive. Execute on the guardsman. Try to do more damage to the Apothecary. Not going to be enough yet. That execute wasn't going to do much. But we're going to see more Imperial Guard generator bashing. Not that they really have a huge ability to bash generators, but just with 3 squads right here, they will ultimately do enough damage that I think they can get 1 generator before there's even going to be a response from Overtly Gemerous. Q gun on? What's that? Anyway, looks like the Tactical Marines are going to do a little bit of generator bashing on their own. Sentinel is going to answer that with an approach, though, deter the Tactical Marines as well as the Techmarine. If anything, I felt they could have stayed there a little bit longer, put a little bit more damage on the power node. I think it's even possible they could have taken it down, but here is that full army response from Jamona. Jamona going with the Sentinel as well as a heavy weapon team. We do see a heavy weapon team from both Imperial Guard players, although Django with just a triple guardsman build. Sentinel's going to start taking damage, repairs are going to be coming in, but I think at some point he needs to just start moving it back. Nice reactions to get away from the grenade, so that grenade pretty much just straight up wasted, and we are going to see the heavy weapon squad just straight up set up. So well played by Jamona. Overall, it looks like he's playing pretty well, and he's the only player in this game who I do recognize, so he's definitely been around for a while. Although he's going to make me eat my words when he loses this Sentinel. My god, I can't believe that just happened. You know, I try to gas him up, and then he goes on and loses his Sentinel. We're going to see a flank from the scouts. Another grenade go in. 1 grenade went in. So if 1 grenade's not good enough, then use another one. I know I've been focusing a lot over here, but a lot of interesting things have been happening here. So, I mean, that is part of the risk with the Sentinel, since the Sentinel is it is a vehicle. The risk with a vehicle, the benefit of a vehicle is that as long as you keep it alive, it doesn't bleed at all, unlike your squads. But of course, if you lose the vehicle, then, well, then the entire cost of the vehicle is sunk. And that's also a Sentinel. That's an early Sentinel death. And, I mean, It's still a Sentinel, so I think he can recover from that. We got a long game ahead of us, as I said. Oh, look at this decap from the scouts. Destroying only the node to try to get the recap. This is very, very bold. We're having a lot of bold plays. Hopefully they don't end up being foolish either. Man, I'm trying to bring back those old memes. And especially with a scout squad going for the cap, it's going to be questionable whether or not they can even finish it. So he does get the cap. Oh, and there is, starts the node immediately. Man, quick reactions on just like node these immediately. That will delay and take some time away from Jamona. All right, so we do see our Imperial Guard players just talking in Spanish. That's why there was that Q, Ganan. Ganan, I did recognize as Spanish, but I mean, just the letter Q by itself, I didn't recognize as anything in particular. All right, Jamona's looking for the recap on his power farm. This is still time where the red team is actually getting the blue team's power. We are going to see the scouts position themselves more. Deployable cover coming out from Jamona. Really likes to use that. I do think Jamona is an Imperial Guard main, at least in just what I do remember of him. More generator bash going on. So the blue team, well, I was going to say the blue team getting the better end of the generator bash, but of course the red team did do that cheeky stuff over here. Grenade going in from those infiltrated scouts, delaying the recap even further. Meanwhile, a squad lost from Django. I don't like that he just lost the squad there. I'm actually very, very surprised. Just had one squad that was clearly so low in hit points. And, I mean, look at the job that these scouts are doing. Eventually, let's see if the scouts can retreat without a model loss. Yeah, I think it's time to retreat. Scouts will take one model loss there. Unfortunately, the scout reinforcements are a bit more expensive than the guardsmen. If he had gotten out of there without a model loss, it would have been a major win for him. Guardsmen in that deployable cover. Never sure if all models are actually in it. Upgrading to plasma guns, not surprising at all. That's very much what should be happening. Lord Commissar is pinned. I think he was just knocked over by the shotgun blast. And we are also seeing the Techmarine upgraded with a master-crafted bolter. And this... I don't feel that this is a hugely necessary upgrade. I think... Like, what is he going for here? Is it going to be... I mean, I guess you get temporary suppression on the guardsman squad. If anything, I'm looking at this more as dealing with the Commissar, with the Lord Commissars. Since that will just be an ability that that Scummy can use to control them. So Dreadnought's going to come out for Scummy, which is, it's of course not surprising. I would expect, especially as a Techmarine player, you really, really would want to go into a vehicle once you hit Tier 2. Could be a Razorback, could be a Dreadnought. Razorback, probably a little bit more useful in 1v1 games, but I would say the Dreadnought, probably the better choice in any kind of team game, whether we're talking about 2v2 or 1v1. Look at this contested power farm right here. We're going to see the close range heavy weapon squad trying to take out that power node, but we're going to also see the flank from the Techmarine as well as the Tactical Marines looking to get in cover, but ultimately they're going to run into this problem where they have no way of dealing with the Chimera, and the Chimera... I mean, right now the Chimera can just free fire on them, and eventually the Tactical Marines are going to have to retreat because they will get out-reinforced by the Guardsmen from the Chimera, and those reinforcement costs are going to be way lower than what Scummy would have to pay if he actually lost one of his Tactical Marines, like one of the models. Apothecary getting that decap, so we're seeing more builds by these players on their heroes. Apothecary build makes a lot of sense, particularly the customized Stormbolter. I feel it's extremely hard to go into either of the melee upgrades with the Apothecary against Imperial Guard, unless you're dealing with like Ogrins. But even then, the Apothecary is not exactly going to win in a head-to-head fight against Ogrins. He's not the strong melee counter that someone like the Force Commander would be. Overtly Gemerous needs to buy a unit. Probably waiting for more requisition. I wonder if he's going for a Dreadnought himself. Now, of course, it is appropriate for really any Space Marine players playing any hero to get a Dreadnought, but it makes a special sense with the Techmarine. So that's, we're also going to see a Whirlwind as well. So my guess is that it's overtly Gemerous' intention to get a Dreadnought, but he's just trying to wait for the resources. Wow, we're going to see the Dreadnought get close enough to the Chimera to actually hit it in melee. Goes for the barrage. Now, if my memory serves correctly, I believe the assault cannon barrage actually does do something like explosive damage, which means it would do damage to the Chimera. I don't think it's very significant, but for example, if the Chimera was nearly dead, it is something that could finish it off. So I think this Dreadnought... What? Overtly Gemerous is going to tier 3. Now that I was not expecting. And I also don't even think it's a good idea. It's just going to be so much less field presence for Gemerous. I mean, I guess the red team does have the VP lead, but I still don't like it. Here is a Whirlwind starting to take shots, knocking over the guardsman, preventing the cap on the middle victory point. And we're seeing double Melta Stormtroopers. So opting for... it's tough if I would really say that this is a hard AV response. It certainly could do a lot of damage if they can get into range, but that's potentially a big if, especially against the Dreadnought. I think what I'm really going to want to see from Scummy... Alright, he does already have the Sergeant upgrade on his Scout, and I feel that's really necessary, because the best thing that the Stormtroopers are going to have is the element of surprise once they come out of infiltration. They're going to throw the Melta Bomb on the Dreadnought. Decides to throw both Melta Bombs. This is actually the Dreadnought in a lot of trouble. Are we going to see the Blessing of the Omnissiah? I mean, the Techmarine's also here. And the Scout. So we need to see straight up vanilla repairs at the very least, instead of the Dreadnought just die there. That was... wow. Lost both of his vehicles real quick right there. Really, really surprising. Yeah, that's honestly, that's a pretty big oof from him. I mean, I don't know if he even had the red for the Blessing of the Omnissiah in that moment, but what he undoubtedly had was a Techmarine and a Scout Squad that could have just repaired it. So Imperial Guard players looking a little bit better at the moment. Chimera coming out from Jamona. I would expect to see that from him, as I'm going to gas him up again, as I feel he's a proficient Imperial Guard player. I'm pretty sure that I've seen him quite a bit in the past, like when I've actually cast in the past. Like, he doesn't seem like a new player or anything. So, but he does have to worry about the potential flank. We are going to see, now the Techmarine has actually switched away from the Mastercrafted Bolter. So that Mastercrafted Bolter I don't feel was a great upgrade, especially considering that it doesn't actually do substantially more damage than his default bolter, and now he's just switched over to the Meltagun. Although this is also something where we could see him switch away from the Meltagun if the Chimera is eventually taken down and there are no vehicles out on the fields from the Imperial Guard players. But with Tier 3 coming out for both Django and Jamona, I do expect to start seeing more vehicles. I would personally expect Jamona's next purchase to be a Lehman Russ. Of course okay, there it is, I called it. I was going to say, unless he decides to save for a Baneblade, but the Lehman Russ probably just the more sensible purchase. This is still a 2v2 game where we do have that big fight in the middle, so a Baneblade would not be out of the question. But, like, I would almost personally argue that I think it's better to get, like, 2 Lehman Russes over a single Baneblade. Commissar Lord, will he go down there? Does not go down yet. Does not even choose to retreat. Actually just gets back into the Chimera. Heavy weapon team, meanwhile, taking a lot of damage. That needs to just... that's probably a kill. So, late retreat on that heavy weapons team. That's going to hurt, especially if we... because inevitably we're going to see more vehicles from the red team. I don't feel we've seen enough vehicles, if anything. I actually really wanted to see Dreadnoughts from both players. And unfortunately, man, off the top of my head, I can't remember. But especially if Blessing of the Omnissiah even... this is going to... no. Alright. Especially if Blessing of the Omnissiah also affects allied vehicles as opposed to just the Techmarine's own vehicles. That would be super worth it if both players got Dreadnoughts. So instead we see the Tier 3 rush. You know, in spite of the Tier 3 rush, like, I called the Tier 3 rush as I personally did not like that choice, and I'm actually going to say I still don't like it. The game is even in terms of victory points. Now, here's why I don't like the Tier 3 rush from the red team. they don't actually have that much power in the bank, and now they don't have much power income. So they need to put down a full farm so they can get a decent power income, because what are they getting? Well, I mean, I guess there are Terminators out on the field, so maybe I should eat my words for that one too. Anyway, here is that Leman Russ out on the field. It has already been upgraded to a Vanquisher Cannon. Vanquisher Cannon, not exactly necessary at the moment, but it does kind of preempt any eventual Predator purchases that we might see from the red team. And eventually, again, just with what I see from the compositions and the heroes from the red team, I feel like a Predator purchase should be inevitable. So here is a bash by Overtly Gemerous, Gemerous, whatever. And they have already upgraded to the Cyclone Missile Launcher. So they're going to knock over the Guardsman Blob. Does quite a bit of damage to them even while they're close to base. And that will, I think, stall a little bit. Knocking down the Commissar, the Lord Commissar. Commissar has been upgraded with Stubbornness to make him quite a bit tankier as long as he can keep most of his own squads in range. And I mean, look at the approach from this Commissar. He's not actually someone who has a lot of raw hit points, but he's actually still able to lead the charge, although for how much longer? He's kind of running a little too far ahead, and then his guardsmen are getting overrun. But the Terminators are taking a lot of damage too, because those Meltagons are doing quite a bit of damage to them. Ultimately, though, the tankiness of the Space Marines does win out, except for the fact that the Scouts are not so tanky. I actually really don't like this rocket run at all, and it's also so well countered by the Angels of Death so that these squads don't even get knocked down. I do feel the tax should probably just go, though, before they actually lose a model. And yeah, they can get out of there without losing a model. Ultimately, I think, despite their retreat, that was a pretty good engagement. Well, you know what? Aside from the last good call I had was the Leman Russ, but I'm also regretting some of the other things I'm saying. So the red team did capture the power farm. Overtly Gemerous did lose his scout squad, and that was a fully upgraded squad of scouts. They're all right here. Or rather, they definitely had their sergeant. Okay, they had a sergeant. This is not my day. They had a sergeant. I actually don't think they had any other upgrades other than the sergeant. No, they had the shotguns for sure. I need to just go to bed after this, I think. Anyway, Generator Bash will definitely happen. Double Melt the Stormtroopers will bash it quite fast. Apothecary's in cover, but has been flanked, and I think he goes down here. Like, I think one more, maybe not. Just making all the wrong calls tonight. I can't do it. Anyway, Commissar Lord Commissar is in melee. Look at his health regenerate from just being around his units because of that Stubbornness warrior. Meanwhile, in here is that eventual Predator from Scummy upgrading to the last cannon. I think eventually we will probably see the armor upgrade as well. And this is actually not a good position for the Predator. Could take a rear armor shot from the Leman Russ. I feel that Leman Russ actually kind of cheated there. I don't think that should have been a rear armor shot. But look at the damage that it took from the Leman Russ. Oh my. I'm seeing those plus 25s. That means we've got Terminator models going down. So Terminator's lost a model. That's a big loss whenever you lose even a Terminator model. And the farm is gone for the red team. So that means that once again, we're seeing a whole plus 16 power income for the red team. Whew, I mean, we've still got 297 to 231. But to me, it actually feels like the red team has been losing this entire game. It just feels like it's a really slow losing. Because they have no power. The blue team has plenty of power. Blue team, although Jamona doesn't have a lot in terms of units right now, he's got enough, especially considering that Django does have that full army. Las Cannon shot goes out from the Predator, targeting the Leman Russ, but man, the Leman Russ is just so tanky. With that 1,200 hit points, we're going to get those double guardsman repairs. Are we going to see? I was going to say, are we going to see a grenade go in? But I don't think a grenade will go in. Instead, we're just going to see the force melee. That's not worth it, especially now with the None Shall Fall ability from the Fist of Brachus. And that is going to be, well, I guess what those scouts did was that they were a distraction. Like, that's the most they could have possibly done. They did not do enough damage to the guardsmen. They were a distraction, and then Jamona did not pull back the Lehman Russ, and it actually just got damaged so much by the Predator that the Lehman Russ is gone. So tanky, I call it. Another Lehman Russ from Django. Django losing some units of his own. I think he lost a squad of guardsmen. So that's how the red team is going to get back in this game, with some rather surprising losses from our Imperial Guard players. Chimera's still out. Now, a Chimera outliving a Lehman Russ is quite a sight to see. Grenade goes in. Predator's trying to kite this Commissar Lord Commissar. Just needs to be a little careful. I wonder, let's take a look at our builds. So we do see Jamona. Jamona really rocking those tier 3 war gears. Does have the flak jacket, so he can get Inspired Terror. Haven't seen that used yet, I don't think. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I haven't. While Django also has that Stubbornness ability. And that's definitely, that's probably the war gear that if anything really makes the Lord Commissar as full-on tanky as some of the other tanky melee heroes, it's this. This is going to be another rocket run. I gotta say, I'm actually not liking the rocket runs that much. Like, that was a rocket run on only Terminators. Terminators survived that just fine. They're getting heals from the Apothecary. That was a waste of 500 red. If I'm really honest here, that was a waste of 500 red. And the rocket run is something that I had personally described a long time ago. Many years ago, I had personally described the rocket run as the best nuke in the game. That was my opinion. Commissar Lord Commissar can go down here. I personally felt it was the best nuke in the game. But if it does have a weakness, it doesn't have the full-on destructive power. Oh, that's going to be the end of one of the Melted Stormtrooper squads, I feel like. Especially if he now just targets in range fire. Does he get it? Yes, he does. But the rocket run does not have the raw destructive power of some other nukes. It's very reliable. Is this going to be another call-in of Terminators? So here are Terminators from Scummy, actually. I'm surprised not going for more of a full-on vehicle play. Yeah, I mean, if I were, like, at least for my preference for how to do things, when I see the Techmarine, I feel like he really benefits more from the vehicles. So instead of, like, going for the Terminators, I would prefer to see more of, like, even like a double Predator, and then using that red on the Blessing of the Omnissiah. Terminators teleporting out. Terminators are going to melt the Commissar pretty fast, especially if he doesn't have all those squads around him to support him. And our Imperial Guard players have also been losing some of their squads, which kind of reduces the effectiveness of Stubbornness. And suddenly, in spite of how much I said that I felt like the Space Marine players were doing quite badly here, they're very much back in this game. We are going to see, though, the armor train roll out from the Imperial Guard players. We've got 2 Lehman Russes on the field, with a third on the way. Overtly, Gemerous has lost quite a bit, though, so he's Plasma Cannon Devastator? I don't know how I feel about that one either. I mean, I guess it is technically good against Imperial Guard. Like, if a plasma cannon shot lands on a squad, it blows them up. Speaking of blowing up, if those stormtroopers stayed in there any longer, they could have been blown up. Once marked target was on. Two plasma devastators. My. That's interesting. I mean, I guess if Scummy kind of makes up for that compositionally with having a more varied and flexible army, it can work out well. I gotta say, this Predator has been getting the value, though. Imagine if he had 2 of them. And Blessing of the Omnissiah, he actually now is indeed using Blessing of the Omnissiah, getting repairs even without being supported by a scout squad or the Techmarine.
Sir, we're losing a victory point out there.
So victory point is being decapped by the Apothecary. That will start to even things out, 1-to-1. And this Leman Russ, oh, of course, I was going to say, actually upgraded to an Executioner Cannon. Of course it's upgraded to an Executioner Cannon. Executioner Cannon actually going to be great against all the Terminators from our Space Marine players, in addition to just being great against, like, Tactical Marines and such. Since that Executioner Cannon will be doing Plasma Cannon damage. So Plasma Cannon damage actually does bonus damage to super heavy infantry armor as well as heavy infantry armor, while still being effective against vehicles. But my god, is this going to be another dead Leman Russ? Commissar Flare, I think, comes out just in time, still trying to target it. The Chimera also needs to be extremely careful too. This is guaranteed a dead Chimera. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Did not even shoot the Chimera. One more shot will finish the Chimera. I think it will charge up and get it. Yep, it will. I was like, don't make a liar out of me when a Predator is literally just shooting at a Chimera point blank. But it missed one shot. There is Plasma Cannon shot going in, knocking over the Stormtroopers. If they had not hit a retreat there, honestly, that possibly could have killed the Stormtrooper squad. Some friendly fire on the Space Marine units, but literally on his own units. Here is that Executioner Leman Russ though, level 2. It's got 1,320 hit points. Are the Cyclone missile launchers going to finish it? Oh my god. Oh man. These Leman Russes dying in droves, and Jamona and Django just buying them all back up again. Double Leman Russes just sitting here. Eventually, I think they will need to move in to try to make this push. Deciding to go for the red team's natural though. So normally these guardsmen would really outtrade these tacks, but there's just so much now between the tacks, 2 tacks, as well as the Terminators. More Cyclone missiles go in, do some light damage to these Leman Russes. We've got the double Vanquishers from Jamona. So frustrated with this Predator. This is a hero Predator already. So frustrated with this hero Predator that he's going for the double Vanquisher. Here is a bit of a flank, though, from the Terminators, from Overtly Gemerous. Actually, Jamona's going to pull out his Leman Russes. Oh man, Django deciding he can't keep the Leman Russes alive, so he needs something bigger and tankier. He's going for the Baneblade. Missile Tack has acquired this low health Vanquisher Leman Russ. My god, that had 300 hit points left. Oh no, the other one dies too. Yeah, it's gone. Oh dear. Man, so... And this is only one Predator. This is only one Predator. Imagine if they get another Predator. I don't know what happened. Like, there was a point when I really felt that the Imperial Guard players were winning this game. So Django's saying that he's got a Baneblade on the way. Jamona actually has... he actually does not have the resources for a Baneblade, but he's actually really close.
So that's 100 points.
You know what? I don't even know what to recommend at this point. I really thought the Leman Russes were the answer, but so many of them have gone down. Like, how many died? Like, at least 5, and honestly, probably more. So many have gone down. I don't even know if the Baneblades are the answer. Maybe the double Baneblades are it. Unfortunately, I think part of the problem is that I think Jamona has kind of just given up. He was talking to his teammate about conceding. He's floating enough resource. He now actually has... Okay, now he's going to start the Baneblade. I was going to say floating enough resources to get a Baneblade, but he's not doing it. And you know what? Both Imperial Guard players also have enough resources that they can get another squad out. So... Django has a heavy weapon team. One of the things I personally would like to see, I would like to start seeing Lascannon heavy weapons teams to start snaring this Predator, because this Predator has almost single-handedly put the Space Marine team back in the game. Okay, kill on the scout. That's a nice start. Although overtly Gemerous, not going to have any trouble buying a new scout squad. Oh dear. Baneblade in a little bit of trouble against a las cannon predator. Double missile launcher attacks. Undoubtedly, we're going to see this try to be... oh my god, he's losing the Baneblade right now. Commissar Flare goes in, but the attacks are content to just walk up close to it. Oh dear. Oh, but the friendly fire! I was going to say, the friendly fire from those plasma cannons almost ended up being Red Team's undoing. Literally almost killed his tac squads with those plasma cannon shots. One model down on the Terminator. So this is actually not a las cannon heavy weapon team. It's a auto cannon heavy weapon team. Castrigan's going to come out for Jamona. So somehow the blue team has the VP lead. Bunker is gone. Cyclone missile launcher really melted that. And the heavy weapon team can't stick around much longer. At some point, I think the Terminators, yeah, they're going in for melee, which means heavy weapon team's not going to shoot. Almost went down. Might still go down. Range fire from the Terminators could take down the heavy weapon team. I think it is. One more burst, and that's it. So the blue team, I think, just... I mean, mentally, it seems like Jamona might have given up with talking to his teammate about giving up. But, I mean, Jamona now has... he's actually got quite a few units. The Baneblade is now here. Another Baneblade. We're going full-on Vance Stubbs today. Oh no, Commissar goes down. I mean, it looks like the guard were trying to stay in this, but especially with another Terminator call in, I think that's got to be game in favor of the red team. Guardsmen are in here. I guess part of what the Devastators do is that they really do deny any decapping attempts by the guard. So it's 1-1, but I think the red team secures this bottom victory point, and I don't see the guard coming in and getting any victory points back in return. So I think we're just at the point where we're basically just awaiting the victory countdown. Double Cyclone missile launchers. You know, I guess maybe... I don't think the Terminators were actually bad. They were not bad at all. If anything, I actually really like the use of the Cyclone missile launcher here. And that will indeed be the end of this game. I was wondering if we were going to see that Baneblade go down, but it does not. So close. Could have been another Baneblade. Alright, quite a game that we had here. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night.